Crystal here from Crystal's Quail and Cocktails. So I came out to clean quail cages, and while I was out I looked at the weather and noticed that it's going to be above freezing tonight, a little below the next 2 nights, but then it's going to stay above freezing for a while, so I decided to make some changes. So I've been wintering these birds. So the birds you see in the top 2 cages are the Celadon quail that I hatched out at the end of the season. They never crowed, never laid an egg, they couldn't be vent sexed. The birds, I've had 1 or 2 crow, and I just saw one try to get busy, which I'm seeing up here also with that guy. Yeah. So anyways, the birds are starting to show signs of reaching sexual maturity. Usually the males reach it before the females. Males will try to breed with females and other males, submissive males. So basically what I need to start doing is observing the birds. Any birds that I see crow or try to get busy, I need to pull out, see if I can vent sex the bird. If I can, then I will band it with a dark blue band, which indicates to me that it is a male. I've mentioned it in multiple videos, and you may be able to see that the birds all have bits in their noses. I did that because someone was playing too rough, and this is to avoid males from killing each other. Once I dwindle down my Celadon quail population by almost half, right? Because when you hatch out birds, you can expect half male, half female, but you can't keep them in those numbers. I like to do 6 hens per male. That way, if I lose a hen here or there, it doesn't mess up the ratio and I don't have overbreeding. But we're getting to the end of February. I'm expecting these birds to be up and running by April 1st. I will probably have to start supplement lighting them soon. I will basically check sunrise, sunset within the next, probably during this week at some point, and start adjusting the lighting. But then I'll also be coming out and observing and banding the birds. So these cages are fuller than I like. I had another cage with these birds in it, but I decided to condense because these 2 cages will be dedicated to the Celadon quail. Once I'm identifying males, then I'll start pulling them out and putting them in what I call the bachelor pad. Basically, it's just a holding area until I sell them or process them. Celadon males are easier to sell than the typical brown layers because they carry a gene, but you have to have a Celadon female as well to get that Celadon egg. So that is what I'm working on. I also switched my water, so I didn't put the lid on, but you can see I have this big, it's a cafeteria bin. It's 5 gallons. I used to do a 5-gallon bucket, but with the height of my aviary, it was kind of a pain in the ass. So I found this bin, and it's much easier to refill. I also added an on-off switch. So what I'll do is, since it's going to be above freezing tonight, I'm going to leave it. But a little bit before, I do it, I don't know, a couple hours before sunset. Basically, when I come out here to feed the birds, if it's going to be freezing, I'll turn the valve off, I'll feed them, that way they can drain the lines, so that way the lines can't freeze and then crack. So the lines don't crack, but what cracks, let me see if the birds will scoot over so I can show you. But what cracks is this plastic, oh, I got a bird out, that plastic white part there And when that cracks, then it leaks and it's no good. Hey there. I don't know if I can catch you while I'm videoing. Let's see. Hi, what are you doing out? Okay, nope. Sorry, I gotta sit the phone down. Not ideal. Here you go. Alright, got the bird. Okay, sorry about that. Hope I didn't make you guys dizzy. So my top 2 cages, layers of the cages are my celadons. They're going to be reduced by a little bit more than half once I'm able to tell males versus females. The reason that I cannot tell is because they're not getting, you can't tell if they're not getting busy or laying eggs, and these birds are not feather sexable. I have additional layer here of birds. These are birds that I had last season. These are feather sexable birds. I already have, I'm not sure, I'd have to double check and see how many males I have in there. Down here, I have 2 sections. This section on the left has 1 male and 3 girls. The male is gray and these girls are light colored. I put them together hoping I can get more gray because I don't have much gray in my flock. And then the birds on the right, they're all females but 1 male. And the male in there is a Celadon male who is of a different bloodline than the first 2 cages. So he is going to get moved in with a group of girls to provide me with what will be like my next bloodline. So I add a bloodline at the end of every season, but I just so happen to get 2 different bloodlines from the same person. So he's just basically on deck. And I forgot, but yes, in this cage, I know there's at least 1 male in there. It's possible there's 2, but there's another Celadon male in there. Actually, I'm not sure if you can see, but he's right there with the white chest. He has a pink band and a blue band. The blue is light blue I band for Celadon, and I probably put pink on him to indicate that he was a different bloodline. So those 2 boys will end up with the proper amount of girls to give me my next to add to my bloodline. So these birds are not going to be very happy because I just added birds in to their cages, so they're basically going to have to establish their pecking order. So yeah, so I went ahead and did that. So while I'm cleaning cages, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm making 100% sense today. I had a migraine, but I have a migraine, but the birds still need to be cared for, and since I made these changes, I figured I should probably film it and speak about it. Okay, so in these bins over here are quail chicks. Not sure how old they are yet. They're feather sexable quail chicks. They're going to be moving into the cages soon, which is another reason why I cleared this cage out, which had the additional had some of these celadons in it. But now, like I said, that they're starting to do things where I'm going to be able to tell who's who, then I'll be quickly reducing them. It's a pretty quick process once it starts, and it started. So I have a isolation space that is a bit away from the aviary, so the boys hopefully can't hear the girls, and that is where I put the males until I'm ready to process them, or it's just a holding area for them to get sold. I'm sure I will not sell all my Celadon males because I have a lot. So alright, so I'm about to clean the cages. So the litter pans are dirty. I'll dump them into a wheelbarrow and then put fresh pine shavings on them. Their water's already full. I already filled the water up. I rinsed it out, made sure all the cups were clean and functioning. And then after I do the litter pans, then I'll pull the big trough feeders that I have. Here's some up here, and then they hook on the front of the cage. So that will, the big trough, with the big trough feeders, I really will only have to feed them every other day. Although since there's so many celadons in these two top cages, it might be more than that. So am I worried about the birds fighting? Not particularly, because they have those bits. If they did not have the bits, this would be a bad situation. They would probably seriously be hurting each other. But since they have the bits in, they can still get each other, but not badly. So that's why I do that. And it seems that they calm down when they don't have girls to fight over. So, you know, they fight for the right to reproduce. Okay, so I already took care of the baby quail. They already topped up their food and water. I decided to turn their heat off since it's going to be 55 degrees tonight. I already took care of my mountain quail, which you can't see, and my one silky that's in with them, just food and water. And these guys have water, which goes into the cups. So their cups, let me see, I have one I can show you. So their cups inside look like this. Basically they peck on this yellow thing and water goes into the cup. So I prefer these over the trough waters because it gets dusty in here. So it basically creates sediment in the troughs and it gets stinky and gross. And it's a pain in the ass to unhook them, clean them out, and put them back on. So plus the troughs go on the back of the cage, and moving these cages is in the aviary is difficult. If it was on a hard surface, probably wouldn't be as big of a deal. Maybe in a different setup, maybe there wouldn't be so much dust, but birds inherently are dusty. With one cage I didn't have an issue, but when I added the second cage, that's when the dust really became an issue. So that is that. So yeah, and like I said, the white part that connects to this, that this screws into, if the temperatures get freezing, that's what can crack, and then you have to replace the whole thing. Your water is going to all leak out. It's a huge pain. So I set an alarm every day. When it goes off, I'll check the weather. If it's going to be freezing, I come out, feed the birds, and then I turn off that valve, and then they'll eat. And in order for them to pass anything from their crop, they have to drink. So then they'll drink and drain the lines, and then it's fine. And then I'll come back out in the morning, turn it on, and I'll get the water going. So it seems like it takes longer for the water to get flowing in the top cage. And then the bottom cages start flowing pretty quickly at that point. Now, one thing to note with these cups versus the troughs is I do have the birds will peck each other's back, basically going, hey, get out of my way, I want something to drink. And so they can have missing feathers on their back. If you're selling birds, you know, for the purpose of people want certain feather colorations, then that might be a problem. That's not the purpose of my birds. My birds are for selling eggs. I don't sell birds off until the end of the season. So for me, it's not an issue, but the cups really prevent the birds from drinking dirty water. So that is my preference. And I'm sure you can add more cups in the cage, but that is kind of a pain in the ass. In my opinion, I did order some new cages that I'm going to set up elsewhere. I did ask them if they could set me up additional cups. I'm hoping for 4 a row. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's my hope, to help with that issue. But also, like I said, there's a lot of birds in here. I typically keep 12 to 14 birds per layer. So 10 girls, 10 to 12 girls, and then 2 boys. So, yeah. And then if I want to keep breeding sets, I'll put up like a divider. You see this middle part here, there's a thing to divide the cage so you can have 2 separate cages. So say the boys don't get along, I would then set up a divider. I have one down here, don't know if it's too dark, in this section that I'd already showed you, and that's because I want the gray boy to get it on with these lighter colored girls. So I'm hoping to get some gray girls. So we'll see if that works out. I've never bred for feather coloring. I've been doing feather sexable birds because it just makes things way easier instead of vent sexing everybody, which is no problem. I can do it. It's just easier. Not that vent sexing is hard, because it is not. As long as the birds are not molting, as long as the birds are laying and getting busy. If they're not laying or getting busy or crowing, vent sexing is not reliable. If they are molting, you cannot vent sex the bird. If they are not laying, you cannot vent sex the bird. Alright, I feel like I'm rambling. Probably because I feel like my brain's not functioning on all cylinders since I'm still recovering from a migraine. So I'm going to finish this up here, clean these out, clean these 2 pans, and in that way this cage is also ready for me to move the babies over this week. So I'm probably going to let those 2 nights below freezing pass, and then I'll plan to move those birds in, and I will put all of them, so it will be crowded, on this top layer. And the reason is I'm going to set heat lamps on top, because it's still the colder part of the year here. So when I first move them out, I'll set some heat lamps on top just for comfort, and adjusting to the temperature. So that's my plan. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will chat with you later. Bye for now.